leverage over the United States.
And Purdue took time to thank farmers for what they do.
My first word to American farmers and ranchers is thank you. You're really the backbone of our economy. You're the patriotic people who, no matter the risk, no matter the floods, the rain, the snow, the drought, you keep on keeping on. They will through this pandemic as well. Some may not make it through. Hopefully many will, because they deliver a product that I think we're all becoming much more understanding now of where this food supply chain starts.
For more information, go to our website, southeastagnet.com.
Maintaining your crops is as important now as it's ever been. Howler, a revolutionary fungicide from AgBiome, can help. It provides long-lasting protection from a broad spectrum of foliar and soil diseases that affect fruits, vegetables, and other specialty crops. Howler is OMRI listed, has multiple modes of action, and has minimal pre-harvest and re-entry intervals. It's flexible, easy to use, and is available right now. Call 855-946-9537 or visit agbiome.com/Howler to learn more.
Randall Wiseman, Southeast AgNet.
Monday, the 25th, is Memorial Day, a federal holiday for honoring and mourning the military personnel who have died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. The folks at the Voice of South Marin encourage you to take time to reflect on the great sacrifices made by our military and their families. It's really true. America is still the land of the free because of the brave. The Voice of South Marin honors their memory and asks God to bless America.
WOCA.
Ocala.
Intervals of clouds and sunshine for today, though a shower or thunderstorm will be around for the afternoon. Some thunderstorms could be heavy. We'll have a high today getting up to 84 to 88. Then tonight, mostly cloudy, low 71 to 73. Humid tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sunshine throughout the day Wednesday with a high 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Kevin Snyder.
Good morning. You're listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. We are streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio, as we are now 5 minutes past the top of the 8 o'clock hour, as promised. Life South Community Blood Centers. As we're working in, we've got Galen on the phone. Good morning, Galen. How you doing, partner?
Hey, what's going on, my man? How are you?
I'm doing real good, man. I had a good weekend. I hope you had one too. In lieu of Memorial Day, 3-day weekend. It was much needed. Much needed. I feel like the battery's a little bit recharged.
Yeah, you know, the one thing about Memorial Day is you realize how bad the Nazis were.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched Schindler's List, and then I watched Fury.
Yeah.
And you know, just in case you didn't realize how bad the Nazis were, Memorial Day is here every year to remind you of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's the day in which, you know, we honor those who gave the greatest sacrifice and for our freedom. And I was taken aback that, you know, here we are, these brave men and women, you know, in many cases knew they were going to die.
Yeah.
They absolutely knew they were going to die.
Yeah.
And they did their duty. And, you know, here we are, we're scared because there's something in the air and we're shutting down and people are huddled in their houses afraid of the boogeyman. So I think it's an interesting juxtaposition.
Yeah.
And it's interesting where our country is right now.
Yeah.
So
good point. Good point. And I like how you brought that up, because there's always something with Memorial Day that I like to turn on the History Channel. At some point in the weekend, they got something good. I think it was Saturday, as my boy was playing in the living room, I had on, it was World War II, what they called From Space. So they did a lot to kind of zoom out and show you kind of a broad idea where the front lines were. And what they were talking about big time was, when I was watching it, was the invasion of Normandy. And just, again, like you said, partner, just to reiterate what you mentioned, D-Day alone, knowing, as those guys are on those boats getting to shore, knowing that there's probably a good chance that they're not going to make it, but they did what they needed to do, and they took the They took the beach, man, and they were talking about just like like you mentioned too, like how rough the Nazis were. What they did to put up barricades and bunkers all along that beachhead, like that was one of Hitler's like prized ideas. Was that pretty much that wall that stretched out through that beach and all the way up to and over up through Norway and stuff. But it was just incredible to watch that a little bit. And like you said, it's like a little reminder of just like the sacrifice that's given. And it's always interesting. And I always try to catch something on the History Channel about it or somewhere else where it airs. But definitely neat. That's for sure. But you caught you caught Schindler's List. Yeah. That's a good one.
Well, I mean, 6,600 people. 6,600 Americans, right, died on D-Day alone.
Yeah.
Trying to take that beach. So.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I watched Schindler's List.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you mentioned Fury. That's a good one, too. I haven't been able to I've only caught it when it's on TV because it's been on TV lately, so I'll have it on, but I haven't been able to put the whole thing together to be able to sit down and watch it. I need to take time to do that because bits and pieces that I've seen and then coming back from some of the commercial breaks and catching it, that was a good one, too. So that one's definitely a good one to watch through the weekend in lieu of Memorial Day, nonetheless. But I was going to ask you, did you guys have a little cookout or anything like that in lieu of?
No. I mean, I grilled some stuff on Sunday, and Monday it just rained all day.
Yeah.
So, I worked on my son's car. My son's car broke down, but did some work on that. But that was about it yesterday.
Yeah. Now, Sunday, speaking of, like you mentioned, the grill, a little bit to talk about there. It was just mentioned that was one of the highest watched cable events, was obviously the golf match with Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson alongside playing partners Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. And I was going to ask you, first of all, did you watch it?
I did.
Yeah, a little bit dampening. I thought it was pretty good, but boy, that at some points, man, that rain coming down as hard as it did, it made it look like, man, that would have been miserable to have been out there a little bit. I do wish the weather was a little bit nicer for him, and I think it would have been a little bit more enjoyable. What do you think?
Well, I think they did a really good job with the podcast. They didn't make it too golfy.
Right.
I was really, really worried about that.
I was too, yeah.
And they let it was obvious that Tiger's mic just broke after about the 14th hole.
Yeah.
But listening to Phil and Peyton, those two carried it. The one shot by Tom Brady where he pulls it in from the fairway and he
That's
says,
pretty sweet.
And he starts talking trash to Charles. That was fun. I mean, I think they did a really good job with that. They didn't waste a lot of time with people carrying their own bags and
right.
They gave them golf carts.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. I rather enjoyed it. So it was very entertaining.
Yeah, and going back to that shot with Tom Brady.
And the race was terrible. I know she was talking about the race.
She was mentioning it, yeah.
Boy, it was a terrible race. Oh, it took forever.
That's what he said,
yeah.
It
was just a boring race, too. It was just a boring. Then it comes down to gas mileage. I hate that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to the golf a little bit, what was interesting was the little bit of struggle by Tom Brady up until that shot. It was Charles Barkley in his ear going, "Come on, Tom, that's terrible. You got to do better, Tom Brady." And then he holds it in, and he's like, "What you got to say now, Chuck?" That was pretty neat. But then after that, boy, Phil Mickelson. I could tell you this, my friend, if Phil Mickelson was setting me up in lieu of alternate shot to putting these shots into the green with the opportunities that Tom Brady had if he just to make some putts. He made the one for eagle, which did you see that? That was pretty cool. That got him a hole one, and that gave him a little bit of momentum. But man, he had so many opportunities thereafter, I thought, and just couldn't put it. Couldn't put the ball in the cup, and ended up losing. Which I kind of seen that. I actually was thinking that's a pretty good how it played out, but I was almost thinking that maybe it would have come down to that last hole where they might have been even, which I was wondering what was going to happen if they did, if they would play another hole or not. But see, by the time they got to the last hole with all the darkness, that I'm sure they just would have had it as halves, but didn't need to, as Tiger and Peyton. Peyton's a pretty good golfer. He's consistent. It's not bad.
Well, they would have gone to a chip off. That
Is that what
they
it
had
was?
already said that like if it did end in a tie, they would have gone to a chip off. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it was Peyton carried. I thought carried the day.
Yeah. Yeah, he really did.
I mean, Tiger didn't miss it. I think he missed one fairway, and he was just
Right.
hitting darts. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good format. I think it was enjoyable. I think the ratings will be incredibly high. I haven't looked at them yet today.
Now, in lieu of this, the whole idea was raising money in lieu of COVID-19 and everything that goes along with it. $20 million was raised.
Yeah, I'm curious as to see how much of that money actually goes to the people who need it.
I think that's a lot of people think.
You know, I'm not a big fan of the Chamber of Commerce. I think I've talked about that a lot on this station. I don't really feel the Chamber of Commerce has much value. I mean, I know that may be shocking to people. I used to be an ambassador for the Chamber, but yeah, I don't think they. I think politically I think they do a lot of harm. But I'm curious as to where that money ends up going, and I hope somebody tracks it. You know, it's kind of like Live Aid, right? I mean, how many millions of dollars did they raise for Live Aid, and they couldn't even get the money to where it needed to go. So I'm curious to see how this all works out. I mean, Live Aid, it wasn't a scam, but it was pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people had that in the conversation about, hey, that's great, that's a ton of money. Now, how does that? Who's going to get what? Where does it go, so to speak? And yeah, you'd like to see it go to the right place. I don't know.
Yeah, I've never heard of some of them. I've never heard of the Nurses Foundation. I think the one.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm pretty familiar with the Red Cross.
Right.
But yeah. So we'll see. You know, it was entertaining.
Yeah.
It gave us something to do.
It sure did. It sure did. Like I said, it was nice to have on the background as I was able to take care of some other stuff. It was. And it made me excited to think, man, I kind of want to go golfing now. I hope it did for a lot of people because it was just the simplicity of saying, hey, they're in a golf cart, they're going out and playing with their buddies. And I think it's one of the things that's like, man, I need to get out again here sometime here soon. We need to get out, Galen. We need to grab Dan and somebody else and get out there again. Do the same format.
I don't miss it. I don't miss it. No, I haven't gotten that itch in a long time. I haven't played in over a year. So.
Man, and I know with everything going on, it probably doesn't look to fruition for anything with any more golf outing in lieu of Life South with COVID-19 and all that. I know usually it's about every year they put that on, but
yeah, it's in May. It's not gonna, or March. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So we got rained out last year. This year was all COVID. So
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Now tomorrow,
I'm the one who kind of organizes that thing, and I've run out of steam.
Yeah.
I haven't been pushing it, so I was like, yeah, I don't really care this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, in lieu of weather that we were talking about from the weekend, it rained yesterday, as we know, and it's expected to today. The big thing is whether or not it'll rain tomorrow afternoon, which I was talking about a little bit of that with Hugh. We were talking about that after the break. Tomorrow is a little bit of a history with what we could have for some, United States of American human beings coming from U.S. soil to get to space here with the Falcon 9 rocket launch tomorrow. I was going to ask you, do you think we'll be able to get it off around 4:30 like it's planned?
I haven't thought about it at all. I'm not one of these people. It seems like every time somebody does something, it's history.
Yeah.
Oh, first time this, or first time that. We've sent people to the space station before.
Right.
We've done that, right? I mean, it's, we've put a man on the moon. So it's not like we're not making that much history. I guess me driving to work makes history. I don't know. I get it. Great. I'm glad it's privatized. Fantastic. I don't know how this is going to improve my life one way or the other, ever. I don't know how this makes us better as a society in 50 years. But if you want to go to the space station and you want to put it on your dime, go ahead, go to the space station.
Well, what do you think about the idea of maybe, with some different topics in the news here outside of COVID? It kind of maybe would spark some enthusiasm for our nation. What do you think about that?
Well, you think SpaceX is going to spark some excitement about our country?
Sure.
By an individual private company? No, I don't think we're any less patriotic because of COVID. I think I just think we've kind of lost our direction and what we're all about as a country and what we believe in. But I don't know how SpaceX is going to change that. I'm sure somebody during the broadcast will talk about how the astronauts are socially distancing.
It's true.
And they've been quarantined for 21 days.
Right.
So, yeah, until, I don't know. Yeah, again, SpaceX doesn't do that much for me.
You mentioned
it just doesn't. I don't get the big deal.
You mentioned the idea
we went to the space station 35 years ago? In the 70s? Yeah, we were there in the 70s. I mean, all right. Congratulations.
Now, you mentioned with a little joke there about the astronauts and their expectations of social distance. Did you feel at any point during that golf tournament that it was going to be a little bit of a spotlight for them to see how they, like, for example, with Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson not really actually high-fiving or anything, kind of giving like a little fake high five?
You could tell it was a lot bigger deal for Phil than it was for Tom. Tom doesn't care. And it's fine. They fist bump.
Do you think at some point? Do you think at some point with that match, with how many viewers they're expected to have, that somebody told them like, "Hey, you're there to set the example too about with this."
Constantly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how difficult do you think that is?
You got to remember, those four guys are corporations.
Right.
They are spokespeople, and they make hundreds of millions of dollars a year speaking for companies. Mm-hmm. And they have to represent that company as good as they possibly can. And the last thing they want is a meme of these two golfers high-fiving.
Right.
That's the last thing in the world they wanted. So.
Do you think overall it was a little much? I mean, like, to think like, you can't even fist bump or high five. They know they don't have it, or whatnot. And then,
we don't know they have it now. They make
true.
these barriers.
That's right. That's right. And I was going to ask you what you thought of some of the camera operators having to wear the masks out there in the rain while operating a camera.
Well,
if you'd seen that.
I think they could if they wanted to. I don't think they had at all.
Yeah.
Because it's not a. But again, it's optics.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, TNT has put this on, and they don't want people. All people are dying because of this golf thing. They don't want that.
Right.
So image is incredibly important.
It's very, very interesting how, like you said, and that was their opportunity to say, like, hey, we're doing
and by
it.
the way, if your employer says wear a mask, then you have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
I understand. I respect that. You can choose not to work there. You could choose not to be the video guy for the golf tournament.
True.
So that's a choice. I just believe you have the right to make that choice. Now, if my employer says I can't make that choice, then I can't make that choice. Then I can choose to work somewhere else. I have a problem when the federal government tells me to do anything.
Right. Gotcha. Now, with that, in lieu of employer, Life South Community Blood Centers, we're going to talk a little bit getting this week started here on this Tuesday. What's the week looking like, and what's the expectations here now getting into, obviously, the blood supply, and what's expected here for getting people out there to give the gift of life and donate blood?
Yeah, well, I do want to mention that we're now testing for the antibodies for COVID. So if you think you've had the virus, or maybe you just want to know if you have the antibodies, then you can come by, donate blood. It's free. We're doing it for every single blood donor now. And, it's an opportunity for you to find out. And I want to be very clear, just because you have the antibodies to the COVID-19 doesn't mean you ever had COVID-19. because of the way they're doing the testing now, you could have had COVID, right? One of the other SARS.
Okay.
So there's a couple of strands, and the same is true if you test positive for a COVID test. And if we do have somebody with the antibodies, it doesn't go to the statewide numbers. We had to have that conversation with the state. They wanted to count those numbers in the COVID-19 positive tests. So we're like, you can't do that because it's not a positive test for COVID, it's for the antibodies. So just to let you know, it's free, so you can find out. And they do say once you have the antibodies, you should be immune to COVID-19. We're finding that there are a lot fewer people, percentage-wise, have the antibodies for COVID than we imagined. So it's not nearly as infectious as people were making it out to be. It's about as infectious as the flu, and it's got the mortality rate is slightly higher than the flu, but it's pretty comparable.
Oh, right. And
so the flu is 0.3%. They're saying COVID is right about 1%, and that's why you're at I think it may be 100,000 deaths today, instead of a typical flu season, which is around anywhere between 45 and 70,000 deaths for the flu per year.
And like you said, in lieu of that, too, would it be best to make an appointment with Life South?
Yeah, we still want you to make an appointment. Today we're going to be out at the Villages Walmart. So if you see the Bloodmobile, you can walk in and see what the availability is. But the best thing for you to do is to go online at lifesouth.org. You can make an appointment there, or you can visit our donor center right there on the boulevard, or call us at 622-3544.
Nice, my friend, nice. Now, one of the things I was going to mention is just a little bit to round out the sports. I read an article that the NBA is looking to take it to Disney World to do what they can to get the season done. I was going to say, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week. I've been to the courts where they play, and it's pretty nice. It's the Magic's practice facility, so it's if they're going to have it in there, that's a pretty sweet location. Yeah. So why not? And then I still like the idea of having one game just round robin in that thing.
Yeah,
I think it'd be good. I also saw the NFL is going to play with fans.
Yeah.
This season, they're planning on that. So, again, there's all the evidence is pointing that us being closed doesn't really make a lot of sense. At least the evidence and the scientists that I read. Just look at the Swedish model; it's working. They're fine.
Yeah.
So their infectious rate, the mortality rate isn't any higher than us. If we would have sent people with COVID to those outpatient care places and extended stay places, the numbers would have been half of what they are.
Let me ask you one thing, or one thought that came up in a conversation I had with somebody. Do you think, had Italy not been impacted as much as they had, do you think the United States would have taken the measures? Let's say Italy wasn't to the numbers or all of that, that it was more of a different type of curve. It wasn't a spike. Do you think if Italy wasn't impacted as hard as they were, that we would have ever gotten to the situation we were in with closing things down and quarantining?
No. I think the media latched onto this, and they just said, yes, we're going to run this thing into the ground. We're going to be able to make it so everybody stays at home and watches our network. So,
yeah.
And I'm just amazed at I'm watching TV and they're like, we're staying safe together. I'm like, okay, stay over there. Just leave me alone. Let me do what I want to do. So, and I think it's obvious that the rest of the country is feeling that way.
Yeah.
You look at the mass of people that were out. I mean, I think it's the worst travel Memorial Day we've had since like 9/11.
Yeah.
I think even in 2012 we had more travelers than we did this year. So, but I really think that the hard part of this is over, and the hard part of this was the government's massive overreaction. So I'm curious as to see what the reflex for all this is going to be.
Right. The consequence of those actions. Well, we appreciate it, Galen. This segment brought to you by Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation's our friend there, Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center, located at 2700 Southwest 34th Street. They offer skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapy. Any questions on how they're handling COVID-19 and what they've got next as we continue on with the phases, give them a call, 352-854-6262. That's 854-6262. And, of course, Penn Flooring, family-owned and operated, serving Marion County for over 30 years. Every bit of their success is their unrivaled customer service. Full-service flooring company dedicated to finding the best solution for your needs. 1201 Southwest 17th Street in Ocala, 352-351-3420. That's 351-3420. Penn Flooring and Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center. Well, excellent, my friend. It sounds like you had a good weekend. It does feel a little bit shame. I wish it was a little bit longer myself. I know you're on your way to work here, but we just got 4 days, and then we got ourselves another weekend, which I think will be nice.
I think it'll be all right. I think a lot of people are really happy to be back at work.
I think so too, my friend.
We need everybody back at work.
That's right.
That's what we need. We're a better society when there's a purpose to what we do.
Exactly. Well, my friend, we appreciate it. Get safe to where you're going. We'll be chatting at you tomorrow. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Adam.
You got it, buddy. WOCA, The Source, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. Up next, Shepherd November, as we were talking about getting back to work, what that means in the Lee and the idea of the work ethic. 4-part book series he's going to talk about, author Shepherd November. When we come back from the break, stay tuned. More good show coming up for you. WOCA Ocala, WOCA The Source. Back after this.